It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief. It was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light. It was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope. It was the winter of despair. No, folks, you haven't turned into the classic literature channel. But since today I'll be talking about a tale of 3 albums, I thought it would be appropriate to throw in a little Charles Dickens. He's also one of my favorite authors, so anytime I can get a word in for him, there you go. Okay, so I wanted to talk about 3 albums I found this morning on Bandcamp. And you know, I'm going to have to train myself to get rid of the tag on Bandcamp, because I think that already kind of stigmatizes the music as something, well, like I was just talking about Wayne Shorter on Blue Note, you know, that gives it credibility. Blue Note, ooh. But I think if you say Bandcamp, it takes away from the credibility of it music-wise. And one of the very things that I'm trying to do here is get across that Bandcamp is a legitimate music place, music source, and certainly one that I avail myself of. So I came across 3 new albums. Where I found them remains unknown, except I'll put links to where they are down below. First one is Logic 1000 by Logic 1000. Second is Epilogue by Abernathy. And the third is Temporal by Julia Kent. And right off the bat, you know, I have this tendency to go negative. One of my daughters, the youngest daughter, calls me Eeyore. Gave me an Eeyore watch for my birthday one time, and so on. And I readily admit to be kind of a ho-de-do-de-do down kind of guy and stuff. And so if I go negative here, I want you to understand that I like all 3 of these bands and would consider purchasing all 3 of their albums. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about, I guess, different formats and different ways of presenting yourself, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I don't have notes, so I don't know exactly what I'm going to talk about, but we'll see where it goes. So Logic 1000 by Logic 1000. It is maybe what, if I were prejudiced against Bandcamp, is what I would think it consists of. First of all, it's EP length. So it's 26, almost 27 minutes, which for me, I consider anything less than about 40 minutes to be either a really short album or an EP. So this squarely falls into EP for me. I'm kind of prejudiced against that to start with. This album is out of my wheelhouse typically. I'm not that big into electronic music, although I've gotten more into it the last year, I want to say. I've been curious for several years, but really kind of started acting upon it this last year. So this is electronic, it's house, which I don't know exactly what that is, and it's dance music. Now I'm going to put up a little graphic here of the tags that Logic 1000, I think, or possibly her label, has put on her music. And as you'll see, I mean, it's got all kinds of bizarre subgenres of those 3 I mentioned. Electronic, house, dance. Yeah, I kind of get those. But then you've got deep house. What is that? I don't know. And one thing I wanted to say is I think people try to come up with these novelty ways of categorizing their music, thinking that makes them special, you know, that makes them stand out. But really, I think we've reached a point where it does you a disservice to specialize yourself that much. You know, yeah, you're unique, but it gives me no reference point. I don't know what deep house is. Like I said before, I'm ignorant enough. I don't even totally know what house is, much less deep house. And some of the things that I've forgotten, but that she puts up there are even more obscure than that. And all these people have got that kind of thing going for them. It's rampant in music in general and on Bandcamp stuff particularly. You get all kinds of categorization genres that I have no idea what they're talking about. So I'll kind of simplify it to what I think they are a lot of times. That's what I'm going to be doing in this video. It's electronic music. One of the things I like about it is that it's still story-driven. I'm very much a story-type person. That is, I want things to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Now that can take all different kinds of forms, but I was listening to some music earlier today that maybe I'll talk about in a different video, but it's truly just ambient, and yet it's called music. And you know, maybe it's Emperor's New Clothes kind of thing, but I don't get it. To me, it just winds up being sounds, very interesting, pleasant sounds. I listened to it for a long time. Used it to fall asleep by. But as far as, is it music? I have a hard time making that leap, I guess. Call me old-fashioned or a Luddite or something. But this is not like that. These are very definitely song structure, not ABC type song structure, but at least cohesive. You know, this is where the song starts, it builds, and then it, ends at some point in time, either abruptly or trails off or what have you. I mean, there's a number of different ways of doing beginning, middle, and end, but nevertheless, it's a structure that I kind of come to expect and that I prefer in my music. So this has got that going for it. Epilogue by Aaron Abernathy. Now, it's a full album. It's actually a double album. It's 60 minutes of music. And, let me back up here. Logic 1000. One other thing I was going to say is that it is only available in digital format. There is no physical media that you can buy. It's digital only, and it's $7 or more for the EP. So that one's $7. Epilogue by Aaron Abernathy, like I say, it's 60 minutes. A double album if you go the vinyl route, and it's $9.99 or more if you go purely digital. But if you want the album, which is 2 vinyl albums, I think in this case just plain black, and with almost everything on Bandcamp, you do get the digital version of it that you can both download and that you can stream through the Bandcamp app. So you get that from Aaron for $30 or more. Almost everything that I've ever seen on Bandcamp is X amount or more. Certainly you can donate. And that's the thing for me, is that I feel like I'm supporting musicians, real live people out there trying to do it, trying to make a career of it, trying to bring something new to it. And that excites me. Genre-wise, again, it's for me, I connect with it because it truly does have an R&B and soul feel. It also has what he calls electro soul. Again, I have no idea what he means by that, but it does kind of click for me. Electro soul, it's definitely more electronic than Motown would have been, but is still recognizable as what I think of as R&B and soul. Big thing that made me choose this album, besides liking the music, is he talks about it, and I meant to write down this quote, but he talks about it as being an 18-track story. And that's something I think we still haven't really discovered fully, or at least a lot of artists haven't. For me, the album format is an album. It sticks together. It's got some kind of cohesion to it. In this case, he's saying through his 18 tracks, he tells an entire story, again, beginning, middle, and end type of structure. And his cover, which I'm showing up here, follows along with that story. And everything works to support that story structure. And I the opposite end of it, the iTunes era is just, this track, that track, this track, that track, make my own mixtapes, do this playlist, blah, blah, blah. And that's fine. It's got its place. It's not for me, by and large. I don't do a whole lot of that. But what I really used to appreciate about music back in the day was that they were truly albums. One thing I don't like quite so much about jazz albums is if it's got that cohesion, I don't get it all the time. But very definitely, if you get into a Joni Mitchell, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Metallica, AC/DC, whatever you're into, their best albums, I think, can be thought of as an album. And you can pick out Stairway to Heaven as a singular song. But to me, when I think of that, I think of the entire Led Zeppelin album, which Stairway to Heaven is an integral part of, but doesn't necessarily stand alone. It's strengthened by that stuff that's around it. So why I like Aaron's Epilogue album here is that it is a complete work. And I would say that actually of Logic 1000 too. It has that kind of consistency to it. It's not just random songs to it. Then the final one, this is the one that's definitely more in my wheelhouse, is called Temporal by Julia Kent. And what does she call hers? Oh, man, I guess I didn't write down her categorizations, her genres for herself, but I would call it nouveau classical. Does have ambient aspects to it, but it is very orchestral. She herself is a cello player, and it has strong orchestral type of vibe to it. You'll see her categorizations here, and she'll probably do a better job of explaining herself than I do. A woman that I very much like is Zoe Keating, and she too is a cello player, and this is of the same genre. I don't want to say that Julia Kent is doing the same thing as Zoe Keating, but the two, if you like one, you'd like the other, I'd say. So yeah, this is got that kind of orchestral thing, and you can buy it for $7.99 if you want a purely digital version of it. Or for $38.99, you get a limited 500 copies vinyl pressing, and I think the vinyl here happens to be white. Looks pretty cool. So for $38.99, you get the limited vinyl, and you get what looks like a pretty cool T-shirt. And that's the way I'd go. If I could, I would go with the vinyl, limited vinyl, and the T-shirt. But her T-shirts only go up to XL in size, and since I go 2XL to 3XL, I'm left out of it. And I do want to ding her a little bit on her size exclusion there. Definitely an issue that I'm a little bit sensitive to. But nevertheless, I can still get the limited vinyl without a T-shirt for $21.99 or more for all of these. And, that's a very fair price for an album, and that's the route I'm going to go. I definitely will get this one. I actually think I'm going to get all three of these, but I'm already determined I will get the Julia Kent one, and I will get it on vinyl. Oh, and I failed to say this is 38 minutes of music, if that's important to you. So I think you're getting your money's worth as far as length of it. And it, I'll be curious because it does have that album aspect. I'll be curious if she manages to work it into a side A and a side B where you feel like, yeah, that's a logical intermission. That's where this should break, you know, and, you know, I'll get up, get a cup of coffee, smoke a cigarette, go to the bathroom or whatever, and then I'll come back. No different than the intermission of a theatrical production, and I'll listen to the second act. In my mind, if you're going to do an album right and it carries over to a second side, that's the way it should be done. I don't think modern albums really think about that a lot. But I'll be curious if I get this one, whether it does. Maybe I'll report back to you. So yeah, this is probably longer than I say I ever want to have videos go, so I better wrap it up quick. Definitely look for all three of these albums. Tell me what you think if you listen to the music, whether you think it's worthwhile, whether you think it's too amateurish for your collection, you know, etc., and so on. Let me know if you'd like to see more videos like this. I think you're probably going to one way or the other because it's something that I'm interested in. And it was fun to get away from the contest and just do a video like I want to do here. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye.